Welcome to our training today on your targeted marketing sphere and how to truly understand what kind of messaging your customer needs and when to give that messaging to them. This is Kelly Yale with Modern Mortgage Marketing, and I'm so excited today to be talking to you about yet another facet of marketing. If you've been joining us, you know that we love coaching up our loan officers to understand how they can approach business in a different way in 2021. Today, we're going to be reviewing what targeted marketing actually is, how it's a little bit different than maybe some traditional marketing efforts, what you can do to really understand your target market, and how to create targeted marketing messaging for your customers. Let's start first with talking about what targeted marketing is. As you know, over the past, several months, we've been talking to you about, really how to understand who that person that you want to sell to is. We talked about ideal customer profiles, meaning like really understanding that individual. And then we talked about creating personas. And today we're talking about targeted marketing. Targeted marketing truly is how to know the audience around you and personalizing your messaging to each individual, right? So we want to make sure that you understand that targeted marketing really boils down to how you can know how to market to any group or segment, but make it feel like that customer is the only one that you have. Because when you have a home buyer who comes to you and you're giving them excellent educational information, you're working with them and you have an automated system in the background that's actually doing a lot of this work for you. It's a lot easier, obviously, but we really want them to leave the transaction with the impression that that was the single goal and focus of your career for that entire length of that loan. On the right hand side, you see something what we, and if you come to a lot of these coaching sessions, you know that this is the flywheel. Flywheel marketing is the new way of really understanding that every single person in your database has the ability to really become a customer of yours and then an advocate and a salesperson on your behalf. We do that by making sure that your marketing and your sales and your service are outstanding. That makes sure that each of the people who come in who might be strangers or who might be prospects are always getting that engagement, are always seeing that you are working so diligently on their behalf. Targeted marketing is a little bit different because basically what we're going to start with is defining who specifically is a good fit for what it is that you do, and then figure out what the messaging is that directly targets that specific audience. So, if we've talked about ideal customer profiles, we know who we're looking for. So, let's just assume in this situation that that might be first time home buyers, right? So, now we have a segment. So we know what that segment is. We know what these people, what their kind of their intention would be is to buy a house. And then we need to figure out the what, right? So we have to figure out what is the message that I want to give all of these people in order to make sure that they're going to do business with me and that they want to do business with me. The process of targeted marketing is an interesting one, right? On the one hand, you have strangers, but that's because we're talking about a true, like from the ground up, non data approach in this situation. So let's assume that we're doing some form of advertising. So Facebook ads, Google ads. So we have strangers and then we bring them in, we allow them to learn, right? So we have our blog is there, our website looks good. We have keywords that they can find online. And then once they hit that website, we can convert them, right? So we have calls to action, we have beautiful landing pages, we have forms that they can fill out so we can get their contact. And then they become a true lead, which is when they would hit your CRM, when you start sending them emails or workflows. Then they become customers, and then you can send them surveys and content that's around, maybe refinancing them, making sure they're building equity in their home, things like that. And then social monitoring, and those people become promoters. And that is actually the process that every single person should follow in your database, whether that is a real estate agent, whether that is a customer, no matter what. every person should sort of have the same experience, but just personalized to them. So, how do we figure out who these people are and what these people want, and how should we market to them? That is the $1 million question, and it's what we spend all of our time doing in at a marketing agency. So, first we have to figure out who they are. Right. So, what is this? What is the ideal age group? What kind of jobs do they have? Do they go to college? Do they live currently in a house? Are they looking for another house? What's going to appeal to them in general, right? So that's why segmentation is so very important, right? The way that you're going to market to me is going to be entirely different than the way that you market to someone who maybe is 26 years old and recently graduated from college and is looking to buy their first townhome. That's incredibly important because typically in mortgage marketing, what we see is this blanket, you want to buy a house sort of marketing. And that is the opposite of what you should be doing. If you're not sending any campaigns, if you're not thinking about those things, hopefully today will be a different day for you. Where are these people geographically? That's important for you because while you definitely get referrals that are from all over the state or even all over the country, understanding where people are geographically is going to help us be able to market to them. A good example of that is if you have any military bases in your state, knowing how to really pinpoint that marketing and what to say, and making sure that it's geographically geolocated to those people around that base is going to be really important. What do they do in their free time? How are they spending their time? Is that online? Is that on Netflix? What are they doing right now? How are they connected? Where do they love to get their information from? Right? You have people who watch the news. You have people who read exclusively Twitter for their news. You have people who still have cable, and you have other people who are opting in to only the program that they like. So it makes it an interesting journey to know where are these people spending their time and how do you get in front of them. And then exactly what Dice just said, which is what do they do online? What are they searching for? How do we know when it's time to pull the trigger? And I know that seems like a ton of data that would be out of your reach. However, all of this data is actually within reach. And then when you have people who do it and understand it, it's a whole different ballgame for your marketing. So let's just take an example of a buyer so that you can really understand how important this is. So let's say that you are going to create an email campaign. Let's say that we give you the marketer hat and you are going to be the one in charge of building this campaign. You would want to think about the type of audience that you're going to target, right? So if you're going to go after refinances, what does that look like? Obviously, you would probably start with your closed borrowers who have an interest rate right now, probably over, I don't even know what you would pull, what, 3.2%. So if they're over 3.2%, you're going to pull them. And then you're going to think like, okay, here's my database. And I've got 74 loans that closed in the last 3 years who are over 3.2%. What will make them want to do a refinance with me? It can't just be the news. It can't just be, that they know that the rates are low. How am I going to give them something where they only listen to me, where they're not going to rate shop me? And, what is that I need to know about their behavior that's going to help me market to them better? Obviously new homeowners, that's a totally different ballgame. They want somebody who's going to help them, who's going to give them advice, and that is incredibly important. However, first time homebuyers, there are so many different pieces of data and so many different alliances and relationships you can have with people who can drive first time homebuyers to you. That in and of itself is its own coaching session, and I'll write that down to let you know all of the different things that you can do to find first time homebuyers. Obviously, then you want to take the characteristics of each of those audiences and create the tailored marketing messages that are going to speak to their specific needs and concerns. When you're thinking about how to build those emails out, you want to be thinking about several different things. What do these people want to hear? What's actually important for them to hear? What is going to grab their attention? How do you really tell them how important it is to take this next step with you? What kinds of like calls to action do you have to go back to your website or to apply for that loan? And how much of this is actually going to be automated on your behalf? Are you having to go in and click all these emails? Or once you start a campaign, are you good to go? We have already gone over customer journeys as part of this initial coaching session. And I do want to touch on it again because targeted marketing has a tremendous amount to do with understanding how this goes. So if you have somebody who is, let's say you're going to do an ad campaign for refinances. You do that ad campaign, you get 100 leads in. How do you absolutely make sure that each of those people are going to close that loan with you? Or if you're reaching out to your database and you're pulling out a targeted email campaign, text campaign, how does that work? You start them out on there, you have a conversation, hopefully that they're going to be sending over the things that you actually need. But in the meantime, you should continuously be selling and showing up. Right. So as this person is making the decision, as they've made the decision, but they just are stuck in a follow up, or even long term, you want to keep top of mind with them. You want to absolutely have them work with you, and you have to think of ways in order to do that. We cannot preach personalized marketing more than we do. That's pretty obvious considering we have over 30 targeted campaigns. The reason that we do this is because we know fundamentally that it works because we've seen it work for the past 6 years. I show you this graphic because it's incredibly important for you to understand something like the very first campaign, even the second campaign. The coronavirus campaign was actually started in April of 2020. And it was for anyone who had been pre approved or shown interest in a loan in Q1 of 2020. And then it literally spoke to the challenges that they were going to see in whether that is listing their house, whether that is buying a house, how they could go through the houses and safely look at them, all of the different technology that was going to be keeping them secure, all of the stuff. That is an incredibly specific targeted marketing campaign that did wonders for people. The first one on this list over here is the Change of Life campaign. It's one of the most important campaigns that we offer. And the reason I'm showing it to you is this: you have somebody come to you and you don't know anything about this referral. If the realtor hasn't given you a complete rundown, you typically don't know. Um, but no matter what you do, you have to listen to that customer, right? You got to have that initial phone call. Let's say during that initial phone call, you find out that someone's husband has passed away from COVID and they need a refinance because they need to figure out how they're going to be able to make this mortgage payment. If you start them on a campaign where they're getting, happy families holding keys in front of the house, you are tone deaf and you're doing a disservice to yourself and to your customer. However, if you put them on something like the Change of Life campaign, that's truly speaking to the fact that not every journey toward buying a home or refinancing a home is some happy story. Sometimes we face challenges in life, and your job is to help people really navigate those challenges and make the best financial decisions for their future. You're talking about two separate beasts. And this is the only way forward. The personalization is the key to targeted marketing. So let's talk about how you can create your own targeted marketing for your business. First of all, finding your niche. I preach it, you'll ignore me. I totally get it, but I have to still do it. Everyone obviously can purchase a home or refinance a home. There's no question about that, right? So everyone is basically the audience, and you have a very specific sort of way of really marketing because you do sort of have a blanket that everyone needs a house, everybody needs a car. I mean, of course, there's going to be people who don't, but if you can actually drill down into that niche more, if you can think about what you're truly good at, and that can be, hey, listen, I don't mind all the questions from the first time home buyers and and doing the seminars and the online Zoom calls. And I love that. It's a passion for me. I love working with, if you were younger, I love working with people who are my age. Or you're in the luxury home market and you're the jumbo loan king and you do, this is really what you're after. Finding your niche is going to help you decide which of the customers you want to work with and how to best market to them. There's no question about that. So if you say, I'm only in the jumbo loan market, and you really start building a brand around the fact that you are the absolute end of the line for jumbo loans, how are you going to then take that idea and that niche and create a marketing plan to reach out to those people? So that's the thing you want to really make sure that you know is, what do you really love to do? And I know, believe me, I've been in mortgage marketing for 9 years. I understand that the argument is like, any referral I'm going to close. But as you're thinking about how you are building your business, this is a really important part. Determine the needs of your audience. That is incredibly important. If it's a first-time home buyer, what are they actually needing from you? Well, they need to understand that it's possible. How do you explain to them that it's possible? How do you whet their appetite for the concept that they should not spend their time and money and energy on someone else's equity, that they can instead build a future for themselves? Develop a solution. For many people, all of this is a lot of work. It's a tremendous amount of work. But making sure that you have an automated system that's going to explain to customers how you can help them is going to save you a lot of time and effort in the long run. And then market that solution, whether that is social media ads, whether that is email campaigns, whether that's texting, no matter what it is, go ahead and figure out a way and a plan to do this, because this is the best kind of leads you can get. Yes, you can buy leads on Zillow and realtor.com, and you and, 6 or 7 of your friends can start fighting over them. Or you can find your own leads. And that's really what we preach. You really can find your own leads. And then share your knowledge and engage in those spaces. Show up in the places that you need to show up, have conversations, provide educations, be a resource for other people. Social media ads are kind of a perfect way when you're talking about targeted marketing to make people really understand. Because if there's one thing that people understand, it is feeling as though they are being targeted and then retargeted. And let's talk about what that looks like, right? So let's say you are online and you are looking around for, in fact, I'll give you a perfect example of targeting and retargeting if you'd like. I was literally at the store Target. I was moving into this house. It was 3 years ago. I was designing the closet of my dreams. I was so excited. And I was walking down the aisles with absolutely no purpose whatsoever, just sort of doing one of those meandering Target runs. And as I was going down the like organization and closets aisle, I saw something I'd never seen before, which was a tank top hanger. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, I didn't know that they made tank top hangers, and you would be in the same group with me because I had no idea either. And I was sort of tickled by it. And I was like, okay, you know what? I have an awful lot of tank tops. I should probably get one of these. And I was like, nah, next time. And I go up and down the aisles, and here I go, and I check out at my Target, and I get in my car, and I do what all responsible people do, which is immediately before I turn my car on, I get on my phone. And what is the very first ad on Facebook but an ad from Amazon for tank top hangers? Now, considering I didn't know that there was such a thing before that moment that I found them inside Target, it started my mind going so fast. How did this happen? How? And then I realized, well, let's see, I have my Target Circle app open in the store. I'm sure it geolocated me to the specific spot that I was in. And that is how they targeted me. They knew I was looking at that product. And then it showed up in my news feed again and again the coming days later. Why did it do that? That's retargeting. You have seen this in action yourself. Most of the time, you're scared because you say something like, oh, we should probably get more toilet paper. And then Alexa starts throwing you ads. But the reality is, once someone has engaged with you at any level, making sure that you are targeting them and staying in front of them is important. If you are working for Movement Mortgage and you have a conversation with someone and that person is considering whether to move forward with you or not. And yet, Movement Mortgage starts showing up in places that they are online. That is going to confirm for them in their head whether they decide to, be conscious of it or not. They're seeing your brand again and again, which will reinforce their decision. When you're looking at social media ads, this is a perfect place to do just that, right? I want to target people specifically. And when it comes to targeted marketing, there are worse things you can do than do social media ads. So when like we just went over this, I want to just really quickly hit on this because we will do retargeting as a coaching session. And I don't want these to go super long because I want you to take each individual concept and be able to start thinking about how those apply to your business. So in retargeting, the user is going to see the ad and they're going to come to your website. And let's say they leave the website without actually filling out a quick contact or an application. You can store the cookie in their computer so that you know then what they are seeing, and make sure that you are where they want to be. And then the customer eventually comes back to your website and fills out an application, and you turn them into a happy customer. And that's the goal. The goal all the time is just to keep this cycle of leads coming to you. When I go over trainings like this, I'm always acutely aware that what I'm saying to you is it's a different industry than you're in. While I have been in mortgage marketing for 9 years, I could never, ever put a file together. Period. End of story. Not even a chance. Why? It's not my skill set. All of this different marketing, all these different marketing techniques, that it's a lot. And so, just so that you know that I am fully aware of that, we believe that the loan officers should really be concentrating on networking when we're able to, really building up those realtor relationships and taking really good care of their customers. Everything else should be automated on your behalf. I mean, it really should. And once you're used to and get kind of spoiled by what automation feels like, it's a whole different ball game. We love to teach you. We believe, as we believe on your behalf, that teaching people is the key to really having great relationships. So, at all times, you can go to the Intent website. You can click on our videos, articles, or coaching. If you have somebody who is in your office who happens to be good at marketing, or is your marketing person, or is your business development person, they can go through and basically go through an entire school on our website. We're happy to have them do that, and there is no fee for doing that. Last but certainly not least, please do join us across our social media platforms, and especially because we have a really interesting group of about 2,500 loan officers across the country who we have great conversations with about what they're seeing in the market, have open conversations about marketing. You can always visit our website. We hope to always be a resource for you. At this time, I'm going to take some questions that you may have about targeted marketing. If you need to jump off the call, we really appreciate you coming by today. We hope that you'll join us for yet another coaching session on another day. And we really appreciate your feedback. Well, it looks like I don't have any questions at this time. So I'm hoping that that was just enough information to whet your appetite. And we will be learning tomorrow more about database marketing. So stick around for that one, and we will look forward to talking to you then.